Vocabio. Master English your way.
About this in the book, but you will appreciate this as a journalist, that I was quite paranoid at this point.
That's how I've approached it, Yasmin.
I appreciate that, and thank you for clarifying that, because
thank you everyone for being here. I really appreciate it. It's kind of
certainly true that President Trump has emboldened white supremacists to think that it's fine.
Ukraine. First of all, that would embolden the Kremlin. That would send a signal to the Kremlin that plays.
When you allow this victory there, how emboldened is Xi to act the way they want it throughout?
The European part could embolden China to take Taiwan.
Dating people, it's when husbands are turning on wives, it's when colleagues and friends are sort of turning.
When you factor in, you know, the husbands, wives, children, employers, you know, all the other people
who have been dragged here by their wives. Antti Scaramucci, founder of Sky.
Go back to that past. And that can characterize sort of, you know, Donald Trump in the United States.
I don't know how you would characterize this, Sheila, but it just looks like something of a kind of.
I just wondered if you could characterize for us quite how much is at stake.
An informal social contract for all of us, which is what I would kind of characterize more broadly in terms of my own political outlook.
Negative stories and characterize the government as wasteful, inefficient, etc.
Special chemicals, they'll just like evaporate you. It's terrible. But it's incredibly optimistic.
Has the Labour Party's coalition evaporated? Can the working class, can it deal?
The water that is in the ground and the river evaporates faster, so there's less for the animals to drink.
Was weak and timid and quickly evaporated as Russia's support in the fight against Islamic State. Was weak and timid and quickly evaporated as Russia's support in the fight against Islamic State.
The church, art, all of them were built or enhanced with money from those places.
Interface technology. To enhance their research, they collaborate with the University of Pittsburgh.
Right, right, almost.
There's a brilliant
right?
section in
that
Nita's
sounds
book
great.
about cognitive enhancers.
Pre-election skepticism has only been enhanced because
the world's information did. But it might also enhance the top end as we learn to use it better. And I can't say in advance.
Yet, you'll still have to bend down a few shelves for that reasonably priced option. And if you want something that won't...
When the war broke out, there was panic. Shelves emptied, ATMs more or less stopped working, the ruble crashed.
And my Tolstoy researched read whole shelves of books about Napoleon and Russian generals.
Ocado or whatever, you're picking stuff off shelves. And it used to be you had to know where...
Use in a way that you've kind of repressed for...
Well, it depends what you... Yes, I mean, not having...
French regimes, they repress dissent, they bolster
the natural world that our human society represses a lot of the time. And I think that is...
From ordinary people in China, which were repressed for a long time, to come forth. So, of course, the conflict he probably did because it was a question of repressing dissidents there. Wang Yang, currently at the top level.
To do that, but also you wouldn't really refer to somebody, well, I wouldn't, as being...
Thank you very much. You will have heard Gillian refer to Davos Man with a slight curling of her lip.
For actually people in China referring to the Cultural Revolution in the context of zero COVID. So
mathematicians in history, often referred to as the Mozart of math.
In two ways. One is just referring to me or you, the individual person.
True fact, and scientists in America were so horrified by that fact that they actually went out and created...
I've been online shamed. It is the most horrifying thing. It makes you want to throw up and whatever, but...
However annoying and horrifying the pushback has been, how racist it is.
Responded. They were horrified and mystified. Why? Because they not...
can imagine some of it's inspiring, some of it's horrifying. And I think there were a few assumptions that
It can do this repeatedly in the future. Ideally, Ukraine is weakened so much that Russia doesn't even have to try hard to threaten Ukraine.
That phrase is weakened and undermined by death. That shall becomes...
no matter what we are talking about as an end game, weakening Russia to the point that they wouldn't be able to continue.
To weaken Russia, to bring Putin down, was the decision to invade Ukraine.
Senescent cells I was just talking about. So as the immune system weakens, it causes a whole range of other issues. These hallmarks
that way, because it really helps me visualize how many, you read that Biden has more pathways.
They found their passion. And for them, visualizing their future selves is a really good way to get motivated.
Researching and then visualizing the stories that they would tell.
It was of lunches, and it's a great way to sort of visualize data. So our students are collecting their own data and they're using their own.
Is that on the day I die, in about 40 years.
Broadcasting wing. A much overrated, but nonetheless significant force in.
And decline itself can be overrated because it can take place over centuries.
Wing. A much overrated, but nonetheless significant force in American politics.
It's overrated. Is it a concept we shouldn't even talk about?
I think probably the most overrated thing in presidential politics is money.
Awesome. Well, now we've met you all. We will broaden out discussion a bit, and I wanted to
through when you arrived, and then let's broaden out into how has the conversation changed in our industry and
your stories, and a much more broadened understanding of what's important in recent Chinese history.
Reason to Stay Alive, which I thought was like broadening it out into sort of society more, so I wouldn't have to speak about myself.
Digging into the Swedish case study a bit more, and then we'll broaden out to other countries because we've got a lot of expertise on the panel about
over our weight. Is it problematic that we're using a blunt tool like BMI to advise patients?
To be blunt, I consider John a dear and
Surgery can be invasive. Pills are a blunt tool. But what if we could borrow the body's...
Such dreadful despair inevitably blunts the search for the real answer.
Given me ringing in my ears, some people were very blunt with the warnings about what I was stepping into, and that
public enemy. And I think people will gravitate in the right direction. There's not a one person response.
Supporters are probably going to be more inclined to gravitate toward Warren than anyone else's. The same might be, by the way, for
adulthood. They tend to gravitate relative to females who don't have this kid.
Powerful government in the history of the world has basically gravitated to this notion that the way you really make change now is
candidate that Greenwich would gravitate to, but in fact local Republicans.
Therapeutic about healing a character, and I think you get it from reading as.
It is so incredibly healing for folks like me because you're willing to sit.
It can help us hopefully heal and achieve kind of some catharsis as well. So
US-China dispute, I don't think that's going to heal anytime soon. I think the next 5 years will all be about
and brought to heal. Ultimately, I would rather live in a generous, open, global country.
Or dogs should be exempt for this either. It's a very porous barrier, the species barrier.
So not personal responsibility, but I'm not exempting people like me from this at all. I'm not.
Cakes are tax exempt, VAT exempt, whereas biscuits.
Of the places I've mentioned, and I exempt Basra and all the other bees I could take you around. Of the places I've mentioned, and I exempt Basra and all the other bees I could take you around.
The sort of hurdles that these people had to overcome. And it's so important to obviously highlight her as a woman of colour.
Support to install it in their own home, to overcome challenges around sort of feeling experienced in their skills and confidence.
A lot of those challenges are being overcome in some countries, in other countries.
Aren't what they used to be, but how do we overcome that? And so I didn't have the luxury of adding additional police.
Focus is identifying and overcoming the challenges of rapid decarbonisation. And
if you've got a lot of muscle, this is going to skew things.
I should tell the radio audience, because this is radio,
about the parameters, the guardrails, and the kind of skew of these relationships.
Risk-reward calculus is skewed beyond recognition. Outright censorship and soft censorship
have
Republican majorities. It's all skewed by New York and California. So
that's all right. I'd like for them to be nice. So you skew your little selection, and then you look, oh no, wait, who's going to?
Vocabio, available in Google Play. Download, discover, improve your English.